Welcome.
Morning, Terry. Did that the second link work better? Oh, can't hear you. You might be muted. Yeah, you're muted.
I said, yes, I made it. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
great. No problem.
Okay, Liz, it's 9:30. We can get started.
Good morning. My name is Liz Kukla. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I'm going to read the preamble for you this morning, this Monday, November 28th. Next slide, please. In compliance with notification requirements of the city's open meeting law in section 101.021 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the city planning department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Please note that call-in users can unmute by using *6. Next slide, please. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We have provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak on our particular case via our website and email. All requests to speak on our particular matter have been considered. We've also received emails from those who have provided written comment on our particular matter. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Can you go ahead and call the roll, please?
Yes. Ms. Roca,
Present.
Ms. Holzer,
Present.
Ms. Brown,
Present.
Ms. Faith,
Present.
Ms. Britt.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a full quorum.
Thank you. Any postponements today?
We do have one this morning, and that's the one that's on the screen before you. Calendar number 22-182 regarding 1116 Auburn Avenue. The Ohio Project LLC proposed to change the use of existing rear single-family dwelling to a two-family dwelling. This case has been postponed once before to allow time for community review. It's my understanding that the appellant needs more time also to work with the community and update plans if necessary. January 3rd would be the date that we could do for that, and that would be Tuesday.
Okay.
So anybody here for that calendar number 22-182 regarding Auburn Avenue? No testimony will be taken on that today. If you receive the paper copy, you will receive an additional paper copy notice in the mail closer to the time of the hearing. I believe that's all that we have for postponements and withdrawals this morning, Madam Chair.
All right. Do we have any councilmen on today?
Yes, Councilman Mooney for the West 105th one.
Okay. All right. All right, go ahead, Ms. Holzer.
All right, we have calendar number 22-198. This is at 3691 West 105th Street. Jai Gurudev Krupa LLC proposes to add a drive-through to a convenience store in a limited retail business district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 4. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand. Reply, I do. State your name and your address, please.
I do. Oh, go ahead, Shatine.
I'm sorry, I thought I was sorry. No, go ahead.
Okay, Brian Mooney, 3402 West Boulevard, Cleveland, Ohio.
Sir, anyone else?
Yes, Justin Popat, I do. at 3691 West 105th Street, Cleveland, Ohio.
Thank you. Anyone else? Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Madam Chair, could we have the appellant spell his name just for the court reporter, please?
And Mr. Popat, could you spell your name out, please?
Jatin Popat, Jatin. Last name is Popat, Popat.
Thank you. Madam Chair, this property was originally zoned general retail in 1929. In 1950, it was placed in the local retail business district. In our records administration office, we found that in 1969, a permit was issued to erect a one-story retail Lawson's store and a 24-car parking lot. There are two variances on file for this address, Madam Chair. In calendar 69-637, a variance request was denied to establish an oversized illuminated sign on the building. And then in calendar 18-274 in 2018, a variance was also denied to install digital changeable copy signage. That's all that I have, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Legal standard, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mary will not be present this morning, so I'm going to read the legal standard. Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variances from the off-street stacking spaces, setback, transition strip, and drive-through hours of operation regulations of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Popat. Tell us what you'd like to do.
I want to add a drive-through window, like, drive-through from there for the convenience store. So that's the request. The store was closed, and now store is struggling. So I just want to add a drive-through window, which will help the store. They closed the store in December, and I redid the store, and I'm struggling over there. So if the drive-through window is there, it will help a lot for the business,
Okay, can you just describe the dimensions of the drive-through, where it's gonna go? Where's the entry and exit points? Can you explain that, please?
Yeah, it's entry from the front, and there's a window there.
The front, what's the street?
Yeah, from inside the parking lot, you can enter from there.
Yeah, but the drive-through is coming from what street?
Oh, it's 105th.
Okay.
Jasper. It's on the corner of that.
Okay.
You can enter from. There's two entrances. You can enter from that side, and then one is from 105th, and one is from Jasper. You can enter.
Okay.
And then go straight in the window, and from there you can exit from Jasper.
All right. Do we have any other picks other than this? There we go. Okay, and so this store is already currently operating. You just want to add this drive-through window to it?
Yes.
Okay. Councilman?
Thank you. All right, if we can go back to the pictures, can you do that? The one with the 4 pictures. Okay, so, all right, I first discovered this in June. Let's be clear. There already is a drive-through window, and it is operating. The owner did that sometime in the spring this year. So I initially asked the building department to look into this, and my feelings have evolved over time. This shopping plaza was kind of a little bit run down, owned by Gyro George. He had a place in there. Gyro George has been shut down. Mr. Popat just recently bought the whole plaza, and he did transfer the convenience store to somebody else who ran it down. So now Mr. Popat, now that he owns the whole plaza, is trying to bring the convenience store back to life. I visited it about 4 or 5 times in the past few months looking at this, and he did spend a lot of money in his store, putting really nice, it's the nicest looking convenience store floor I've ever seen inside. So it's really nice inside, and I've talked to him about increasing signage, better signs, and roofs. So he's kind of asking forgiveness for what he's already done. And so this drive-through window, I did have some concerns, and this isn't being utilized. It's really being utilized by people with older people with disabilities, where they can get one item, and it's not very common for somebody to go through there. However, being that it's already in existence and operating, I did have a concern. If you look at this, the upper right picture, if you go through the drive-through, which would be on your left, you approach a dumpster and a grease trap. I don't know what you call it, a grease that collects the grease for the restaurant next door. And because of that, when you go to turn right, it restricts your view of Jasper Avenue until you're up on the sidewalk. That was my concern with the traffic and talking to other people. So, to make a long story short, I met with Mr. Popat, and I don't know, and I reached an agreement with him. And the agreement is as follows. If on that lot, next door to it is not a home, it's a city land bank lot. Right behind this, where if you look at the bottom right, you'll see the dumpster, and what's next door to it is a land bank lot, and then there's a home. The land bank lot, there was a house that was torn down sometime in the past. And so my solution to him was, because he needs to have the fence bordering the street and that land bank property, because he's got a dumpster there. However, if he moves the grease collector to the other side of a building, because he has another side of the building, puts it in an enclosure there, that would enable him to pull the fence back about 4 feet closer to the dumpster. And so he would still have that fence bordering Jasper and bordering the land bank lot, but it would be 4 feet back, so people would have a clear view of Jasper pulling out. And he also agreed to cut down a tree that I saw there right at the border. Who knows what property it's on? That would clear up the viewing. So I talked to him. I said if he was willing to agree to do that, and also in one of the variances, he's not supposed to be open from 9:30 p.m. on. I said if you agreed to close at 10 o'clock, because that's when he closes anyways now. I said I'd be fine with that. And he also expressed to me, and I'm going to guide him through the process, he wants to try to acquire that land bank lot behind him for unknown reasons, maybe just to hold it or prevent development, or to be able to access behind his building, because it's a real tight squeeze. But anyways, I talked to him, and so I had thought if he did that, I would not have a problem with the drive-through, and I would support his variances.
Right. Thank you, Councilman. And Mr. Popat, were you amenable to the councilman's suggestions?
Yes, definitely. Councilman, actually, I got that grease trap out yesterday, and I cut that, we have cut that fence. The only thing is the tree, because it started raining, so we couldn't do the tree yesterday. But that's done already. So only thing is the tree, and probably like Tuesday or Wednesday, as soon as my help comes, they can finish that up, the tree. But yeah, I'll make sure the dumpster is enclosed nicely, and the whole vision, like you said, everything is going to be done as you said.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Popat. City planning?
Hello, this is Xavier Bay, City Planning. The only kind of major concern that we were having was the stacking requirement. So as you can see in this picture, on the bottom right, with one car, it doesn't really leave too much room behind to stack, which is kind of one of the variances that's also come up here. So I mean, one thing we did mention was, if it's possible to eliminate like the parking space right there in the bottom left picture. You could see like there's the nearest parking space right at the end of the lineup there, just to allow like better flow of cars coming to stack up there at that window. I mean that was, you know, pretty much the only concern that we all really seen further.
Mr. Popeye, you understand that space right there at the where that white car is? If you could stripe that so there's no parking, and that way you'll have a better flow of traffic for your drive-through.
Yes, yes. I already have a stripe over there, but that was wrongly parked up. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
already, yeah, line is there, but I was wrongly parked. That's all. Yeah, I got the point. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
You can see the stripe already. Nobody's supposed
Yeah, I
to
see
park
it. I
there.
didn't know how far it went over, but yeah, I saw that was already the no parking stripe. I just didn't know how wide that was. So, okay, great. All right, I'll open it to my board for any questions.
Hearing no questions or comments, Madam Chair, I'll move with a motion.
Thank you.
All right, on calendar number 22-198, we've heard testimony from both Councilman Mooney and City Planning with regard to the drive-through window. It does already exist, as is evident in the photographs. So this is really asking forgiveness rather than permission. But we have, as City Planning suggested, adding or eliminating the parking space that is closest to the drive-through lane, so that there's better stacking for cars and traffic getting through. And as Councilman Mooney noted, the hours will close at 10 p.m.
Yes.
And so I think those are the only two conditions. And so with that, I move that we go ahead and approve calendar number 22-198.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Member Brown, I second.
Ms. Brown with the second. Go ahead, call the roll.
Madam Chair, just for clarity's sake, there was a recommendation from the councilman regarding setting the dumpster back further and removing a grease container.
Yeah,
We need to see that on this as part of the condition as well.
Well, the appellant just testified that's been done.
Okay.
So I don't know if we need to add it if he said he already did it.
Yeah, it's already done. Only thing is not done is the tree is still there because it started raining, so tree is not done, but that will be done.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, we'll make it conditions, but we'll put that the appellant said that he has done it, but we'll leave it in as conditions.
But still, as part of the building code, the grease trap has to be enclosed. So I'm sure he hasn't enclosed it yet. You know, but so I mean, I know
Okay.
he moved it.
Okay,
More
we're
than
in the
just
middle.
moving it.
Okay, we're in the middle of our deliberation, but thank you.
Oh,
Thank
sorry.
So, Madam Chair, according to my notes, the agreement was that the appellant would allow 4 more feet of visual space between the sidewalk and the
And the
dumpster.
fence. Yeah.
And so I think we should make that part of the motion that the dumpster will be set back, or the enclosure for the dumpster will be set back 4 feet from the property line.
Yes.
And I think that would be the only thing. And we could wait for an updated site plan if you would like, or I could just put those comments in the or the conditions in the resolution.
Yeah, I think you could put those in the resolution.
All right, we'll do that. All right, I shall call the roll. Ms. Roca?
Yes, sorry.
Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Faith?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Calendar number 22-196 is granted conditionally based upon the conditions that were read during the motion. We will ratify this next week, and then we will send the appellants a letter.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other council people? I don't see. So we can start from the beginning. Go ahead, Ms. Halter.
Okay, I was just waiting for them to catch up with the PowerPoint. So we have calendar number 22-196. This is at 1315 Elm Court. Billingsley and Alexander proposes to establish or install a vinyl privacy fence / gate 6 feet in height in the actual front yard in a multifamily residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do, state your name and your address, please.
I do. Claire Billingsley, 1315 Elm Court. And it's just me today.
Thank you. Okay, Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In our Records Administration Office, we found that in 1920, there were alterations to a building on site. And then in the more recent history, Madam Chair, we found that in 1990, permit was issued to erect 12 lineal feet of 6-foot-high fence and gates. And then in 2021, a lot split and consolidation was recorded for the property. And also, no, that's it. That's looking at the application for today. So, and that is all that we have, Madam Chair, for this case. Thank you.
All right, go ahead with the legal standard.
Madam Chair, members of the board, the appellant is requesting an area variance from the fencing regulations of the zoning code. To obtain this area variance, the appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Billingsley.
Thank you. So this is a house that my husband and I bought 4 years ago. It was a foreclosure, needed a lot of work, and we've just been slowly fixing it up over time, plumbing, electrical. As mentioned, we recently acquired the side lot to the right of the house and split that with our neighbors. And so we're looking to do a fence all around for both that consolidated property and the existing fence that we already had that's really run down. We don't really have a front yard. It's kind of hard to see in these pictures, but the property is only accessible through this really narrow driveway, and it's behind another house. So you can't see any of the fencing from the street. There's no risk of, creating blind spots for pedestrians or drivers. The only people that would see this piece of fence that we're requesting the variance for are the residents of this apartment building next door. So it's really just about creating a private backyard and side yard area for us. I hope it's easy to see that in the pictures, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody might have.
Yeah, so which fence is it you're replacing an existing one?
Yes, so in this picture in the lower left, it's this red fence.
Okay. And does your front yard of the house face the alley? Is that why?
Yeah, so you can see the front door in the top right photo there. It's really just a driveway. There's no grass area or anything.
Yeah, okay.
May I ask a question, Madam Chair?
Yes.
So in the picture on the right top, between the cone and the chain link fence, is that the driveway?
Yes. And
Thank
it's
you.
technically, it's a City of Cleveland land bank parcel that we have an easement on.
Okay. But that's the way people get to the house?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've seen a few of these weird configurations where the house faces the alley, so it's kind of like they have no front yard, and yeah, I've seen this several times in certain areas, so I get it. And what kind of fence do you want to put there?
It's a 6-foot white vinyl privacy fence, which will be identical to the rest of the fencing we're putting up around the property.
Okay. All right, city planning.
So there was actually one. Well, these are both from one person. And pretty much going again, asking us not to allow. So as you could see, some of the statements that are here are referencing illegal business activity going on in the city-owned court in Fire Lane. And also this next email mentions kind of the concern of police kind of being able to see what's going on back there. But I mean, that's the only this is all that we've heard in rebuttal, and I mean we recommend approval. You know, basically because they don't really have any privacy within this lot, and the heights of these fences aren't really too concerning, especially considering that this fence right here that's already abutting their lot is way higher than what they're going to build to.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, thank you. Board, any questions?
Madam Chair, to the appellant, did you supply us a cut sheet of the fence that you intend to use?
I am sorry, I don't know what a cut sheet is.
And a picture of the image of the fence?
No, I didn't, but I'd be happy to.
Okay. That is something typically that we have as part of the package.
Okay,
So
I'm sorry.
that's okay. That's the only question I had, Madam Chair.
All right, hearing no others, I'll entertain a motion.
Okay. Given the approval of the support of city planning on this, and looking at the physical constraints of the property, the difficulty with accessing it, and the need for security, the only thing, as I asked, would be an image of the picture of the fence that we'd like to have on file. And with that, I motion that we approve calendar number 22-196.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Board Member Holzer, second.
Ms. Holzer with the second. Go ahead, call the roll.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Faith,
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
Calendar number 22-196 is granted. It'll be ratified next week, and we will send the appellant a letter unless the board wanted us to hold it until we receive that cut sheet.
I don't think that's necessary. We know what a 6-foot vinyl white fence looks like, but just make sure we get it. But yeah, I don't think we should hold ratification for it.
Okay, thank you. It'll be ratified next Monday, and then we will send the appellant a letter. Thank you.
Thank you. Next case, please.
Sorry about that. Okay, our next case is calendar number 22-199. This is at 3676 East 65th Street. Brent Spicer, owner, proposes to establish use as a tattoo studio. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 2. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Thank you. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do, state your name and your address, please.
I do, Brent Spicer, 3676 East 65th Street.
And I, Greta Thomas, with Slavic Village Development, I do, and 5620 SVD.
Thank you.
Salvarado, Slavic Village Development. I do swear, Slavic 5620 Broadway Avenue.
Anyone else? Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property was originally zoned general retail in 1929. In 2010, it was placed in the local retail business district. In our records administration office, we found that in 1908, a permit was issued to erect a store and tenement addition to the building on site. In 2008, there was a certificate of occupancy issued stating that the use of the property is for 2 dwellings and a daycare. Oh, actually, it was a change of use from a 3-dwelling unit and a store to 2 dwelling units and a daycare. And the certificate of occupancy was issued for that specific use. And then there is one calendar number on this address, calendar 68-354. This board granted a variance to maintain 1 store and 3 suites, contrary to the yards and courts code sections of the zoning code. And again, that was in 1968. And that's all that I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Well, I'm happy to say that none of us were on the board at that time, but thank you for giving us that. Go ahead with the legal standard, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting a use variance and an area variance from the distance regulations of the zoning code. To obtain the use variance, the appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship, particular to the property, that such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, that it will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance in this case, the appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Spicer.
So yeah, I want to open my studio there. It's not a typical tattoo parlor. I've been doing this 18 years. It's a tattoo studio that's by appointment only. I've won awards for what I do, and basically I try to give a lot back to the community by giving discounts for first responders. The property itself has curb appeal now. I've paid a lot of money to clean it all up. The lot next door, I've been maintaining that, picking up garbage. Yeah, so I don't know what more to add.
Mr. Spicer does, he's the owner occupant of the property as well. And
Ms. Thomas, you have to announce yourself so that the court reporter knows who's talking.
Pardon me, Greta Thomas speaking.
Okay.
From SVD. Mr. Spicer is the owner occupant of the building, and he has invested a lot of money into renovating the interior. And so the quality of the property has increased significantly. And like he has mentioned, the curb appeal has truly transformed. From what he has told us, that it's not going to be like an open door policy where anybody at any time is allowed to come to the property. It will be appointment only, so very minimal car traffic will be caused from his operation.
All right, thank you. Mr. Spicer, although it's by appointment only, what hours will you be open?
I'm usually open 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. With the
Right.
exceptional Saturday that I'll work a weekend.
So do you just want to add, because this will be on the record, so you just want to add Saturdays in there?
Sure.
Okay. We'll have Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then, if you don't open on Saturday, that's on you.
Okay.
And so being owner occupied, that means you have residencies above that you are maintaining on this property?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Mr. Alvarado, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. We've been working with Mr. Spicer. We have been in coordination with both Councilwoman Moore as well as with Nicole Calhoun, our neighborhood planner. We've also been talking to the neighbors, especially neighbors across the street with St. Stanislaus Church and the St. Stanislaus School, and folks have been in support of this, and we believe that Mr. Spicer's use is consistent with the retail mix that we're bringing along East 65th Street. I'm also very happy that this is a building that's been vacant essentially for the past decade, and so being able to bring new life is really important to us.
Okay, thank you. City planning.
Xavier Bay from City Planning. Given everything that was stated previously by the CDC, and I just wanted to also mention again that we did get Dr. Calhoun's support, the neighborhood planner for this area. City Planning recommends approval. We approve these usually regardless of those buffers. They're pretty outdated. But yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, board, any questions?
Hearing no questions or comments, Madam Chair, I'll move forward with the motion.
Thank you.
On calendar number 22-199, we have heard testimony from the appellant stating that his hours will be Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. We've heard testimony from Ms. Thompson and Mr. Alvarado, both from the Slavic Village CDC, that there has been work with the community and with the neighbors and with the council person for the area. And we have heard that city planning is in support of this. The buffers that are listed in the agenda are those that are a sign of a different time. And we know that the tattoo parlors are becoming very popular. And as Mr. Alvarado stated, this was a vacant building for close to a decade. And they're happy to see a business going in there, particularly one that's owner occupied. So with all that being said, Madam Chair, I move that we approve calendar number 22-199.
Thank you. Could I have a second, please?
Member Brown, I second.
Ms. Brown with the second. Go ahead, call the roll.
Ms. Olzer,
Yes.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Faith,
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
Calendar number 22-199 is granted. It'll be ratified next Monday, and we will send the appellants a letter.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Bless
next
you.
case.
Our next case is calendar number 22-200. This is at 13917 Liberty Avenue. Ruperto Castro proposes to erect an 8-foot by 18-foot open wooden front deck open wooden front deck attached to existing single-family residence located in an A1 one-family district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Thank you. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do. State your name and your address, please.
I do. My name is Roberto Castro. My address is 13917 Liberty Avenue.
I do. Melissa Miller, Bel Air Puritas Development Corporation, 14703 Puritas Avenue.
Anyone else? Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In our Records Administration Office, we found that in 1954, a permit was issued to erect a single-family dwelling. And then in 1962, a permit was issued to erect an addition to the single-family home on site. And that's all that we have that is relevant.
Thank you. Go ahead with the legal standard.
Okay. Madam Chair, members of the board, the appellant is requesting an area variance from the interior side yard regulations of the zoning code. To obtain this area variance, the appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Castro. Looks like the deck is built already.
Yeah, it's already built.
Melissa Miller, Bel Air Puritas Development Corporation. The deck is built. He had assumed Mr. Castro, English is not his first language. He had his builder pull a permit. He had thought that his builder had gone and pulled a permit and everything was fine. He did not understand that he had to go back and seek a variance for it. I know that we have submitted 2 letters from his neighbors in support of the fence. Mr. Castro thought he was doing the right thing. It's not overly big. It does not go beyond this side of his home. Both neighbors are in support of it, and we think it is nothing but an addition to this house. He does plan on staining it and painting it next year, but it's womanized wood, so he has to wait a year until he does that.
Yeah, and so it looks like the variance needed is for the side yard, but it looks like it's an existing condition of the house already.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Needless to say, Bel Air Puritas supports Mr. Castro in his application for a variance.
I'm kind of getting that, Miss Miller. Thank you.
I just wanted to state it because I know I just heard the history. So
yeah. But yeah, thanks for coming in and being a mediary for him with his English not being his first language. So thank you for that. What are these letters, Xavier?
Thanks, Madam Chair. This is Xavier from City Planning. These are the support letters that she had just mentioned.
Oh, okay. All right, great. All right. And go ahead, Xavier, with City Planning's position.
Thanks, Madam Chair. This is Xavier Bay again from City Planning. Yep, as previously mentioned, these houses were kind of built on those 3-foot. I'm sorry, those 3-foot side subdivisions. And so, wait a minute. Sorry, this is the next case. For some reason, a little upside down here. Sorry about that. Don't know how that happened. All right, what? My apologies. Okay. But yeah, like I was just saying, these houses are already built on those 3-foot side yards. And so we recommend approval.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my slides here.
Well, we saw it before, so we know what we're talking about. So we'll give you time to figure that out while I talk to the board.
My apologies.
All right, board members, any questions?
Hearing none, Madam Chair, I'll move forward with a motion. And we haven't seen Melissa for a while, so welcome back to MOSA.
Thank you.
You're welcome. In looking at the pictures that we have of the existing conditions with the house, we see that the front deck that he's put on does not extend past the footprint of the house. It actually is set back just a little bit on the side next to the neighbor's driveway. And these are existing conditions in this subdivision. So we have the support of the CDC and we have support of city planning. And so I, excuse me, I motion that we approve the variance for calendar number 22-200.
All right, thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Board Member Roca seconds.
Ms. Roca with the second. Go ahead, call the roll.
Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Faith,
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
Calendar number 22-200 is granted. It'll be ratified next week and we will send the appellants a letter.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next case.
We have calendar number 22-202. This is at 3381 Fulton Road. Bay Presbyterian Church owner proposes to establish use as a residential drug and alcohol treatment facility in a B12 family residential district and a C1 local retail business district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Thank you. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand. Reply, I do. State your name and your address, please.
I do. Siobhan Malavey, 3305 West 25th Street, Cleveland.
I do. Jack McClelland, 141 Cove Avenue, Avon Lake.
Okay.
Foster, 1220 West 6th Street, Cleveland. I do.
What name was that?
Jeff Foster.
Okay.
I do. Rafi Sturgis, 3305 West 25th Street, Cleveland, Ohio.
Anyone else? Okay, Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We found that in in our Records Administration Office, we found that in 1921, a structure was erected on site. And then in our Acela system, more recent history, we see that starting in 1999, permits were pulled for temporary festivals on site. There's also a permit for equipment to be installed on the property for Sprint Nextel antennas. And that was in 2008. Madam Chair, most of the other permits were for interior, exterior alterations. And then earlier this year, there was a permit issued for removal of that Sprint antenna. We didn't find any variances on file for this address, and that's all that I have that's relevant.
Thank you. Go ahead with the legal standard.
Thank you. Madam Chair, members of the board, the appellant is requesting a use variance from the regulations of the zoning code. To obtain the use variance, the appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship particular to the property, such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, who's going to be the spokesperson for this case?
Rafi Sturgis, Executive Director of Hispanic Immigrant.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Sturgis.
Thank you for your time. The property that we're asking the variance for is the one in the top left picture there. That's actually the rectory, and it's 3381 Fulton Road. Hispanic Immigrant a few months ago was displaced from our previous facility where we had a residential treatment facility, and we've been in business for over 30 years serving our community. And although with that we have Hispanic in our name, we serve all people and everybody in our community. So what we're asking for is for a variance so that we can have a treatment facility in this location right now, being that at this point we've been displaced and we haven't found any other location.
Okay, and give me a little update on, you know, your hours of operation. Like, you know, what do you do exactly at the treatment facility? Like, you don't have to go into super detail, but just kind of overall what you're doing there.
Sure. So a little bit of our mission there that you saw in the first slide. Hispanic Immigrant, our mission is to impact our community with prevention and also intervention in HIV/AIDS, violence, and abuse of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs through culturally sensitive, holistic education. Our hours of operation for the treatment would be in itself 24/7. It would be a 30-day residential facility where people come in looking for intensive residential treatment, and some may stay a week, some may stay 2 weeks, usually up to 30 days, depending on the need of the client. And in this facility, we would offer intensive outpatient. These are classes that we offer for people in need of recovery from alcohol and drugs. We'll also offer outpatient treatment, aftercare and case management services to these clients that we would have in there. And also some family support groups would also be offered there. Again, hours of operation for some of our staff would be 9 to 5, but for the people there, and it would be a 24/7 operation.
All right, great, thank you. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Mr. Sturgis?
Yes, as I said in the beginning, Hispanic Immigrant has been in business for over 30 years, and we in fact had a previous facility offering the same services on the same campus there. And we were there for over 15 years and never had any incident. And so basically for us, it's kind of like coming full circle back home again. So I'm happy to be here, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. And thanks, Xavier, for doing the circle with the cursor there so I can see exactly where on the property this is. So thank you. Now there was a woman that signed up and I didn't catch her name, so I apologize for that. But if you want to go ahead and chime in.
So I'm Siobhan Malave. I'm from Hispanic Umudap, and I am here in support of the variance for our facility on Fulton.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. McClellan.
Yes, I'm representing Bay Presbyterian that owns the property, and I'm here to also speak in favor of the variance for Umudap. The campus that the facility would be located on currently has other services in the area, and so this fits within the work and mission that's already happening in that neighborhood and on that particular campus.
Great, thank you. Mr. Foster.
I'm also here in support of the variance request. I'm here to answer any questions about the building. We're currently working through some items with building and housing about change of use. Currently, it's an R2 residential facility, and we're looking to change it to an R4. So we're working through that and can answer any building related questions. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Xavier, city plan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we did get one letter. This is opposing. Mainly, their concern was proximity to the school, and just kind of like what it might bring to the neighborhood. I do see that Liz has her hands up. I don't know. I should let her speak first, or
Liz.
Oh, I did not mean to interrupt. I have a letter of opposition as well. If you'd like me to read that in. Xavier, were you done with your comments on that letter?
yeah, perfect timing.
Okay. This is from a Mr. Torres that lives at owns 3370 Fulton Road. He's against the proposed establishment, substance rehabilitation facility at the proposed site. He is concerned about the proximity to the children attending the school just next door. And his establishment is at the address above. He's concerned about the impact on that, as well as the elderly neighbors that are in the majority in proximity to the proposed use, and also the effect on the church across the street. He would prefer to see a more positive, or he looks forward to a more positive use at this location, such as the current refugee temporary housing facility. He's concerned that there are too many issues that are immediately surrounding the location that need to be resolved. There's an illegal nightclub, constant drug activity, and a lack of policing. He does have some suggestions that would be beneficial to the current use. Number one, an ornamental fencing around the perimeter. Number two, proper security guards. And number three, additional parking. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Xavier.
And so I did want to mention, sorry, thanks, Madam Chair. I did want to mention that City Planner Matt Moss for this area is in support, as well as the Councilwoman Jasmine Santana is also in full support of this project. City Planning recommends approval. Honestly, because they had the same kind of operation going on previously with no mishaps or anything like that. Everything looks pretty good.
All right, thank you. Board, any questions?
Madam Chair, I do have a few. So I'd like to know, what are the services going on in the Jones building? When Mr. McClellan talked about compatible services offered, I'd like to know that. And I also would like to know how many occupants are expected to be in the rectory for the UMADOP program, and the staffing that they would have after the hours of 9 to 5.
Sure. Thank you for your question. So in terms of the Jones building, well, it is a school building, but when this was originally a Catholic diocese campus, that was built as a school building. As Rafi's already mentioned, the proposed site for UMADOP, it was the rectory where the priests live. And then there's the church building, and the Fulton House is the location that UMADOP was in 15 years ago. But in reference to your question, as well as the concerns that were raised in the letters, all of those services are offered through a partnership with the church in particular. And so, for example, the one letter that had a concern about this being done with the church next door, that's a church that is part of Great Bay Presbyterian's ministry as well. And so I'm, as one of the pastors there, work closely with that particular congregation. And the church is very supportive of UMADOP coming to have the opportunity, as people come out of their residential treatment, to be able to walk alongside them and continue to give them a supportive community to help in their sobriety and their recovery. The Jones building in particular, there are two schools located there. And those schools are aware of the UMADOP's request to change the use as well. And we've had conversations, and from the church side, we're very satisfied with the security measures that are taken and the history as well, with UMADOP having been on campus, but knowing that even though the treatment is residential and people are there 24/7, the staffing that UMADOP provides, actually, I believe that the location will be more secure than it has been in the past because of their staff being on site to be able to not just monitor their patients, but if anything were to happen on campus, presumably they're right there to offer a phone call to the police. And the Fulton House currently has transitional housing. And that's for men who have been sober for 90 days, but have experienced homelessness. It's transitional housing for them in a similar model to what we're hoping for with UMADOP. The church is able to have volunteers and friends who walk alongside some of those men and encourage them in their work towards self-sufficiency and sobriety. Does that answer your questions?
Yes, thank you. The only question that was not answered is the number of occupants.
Yes,
and
Rafi,
staffing
go ahead.
after 5.
Yes, I can speak to that. So our certification is up to 16, but we will have 12 beds. So and just because we would open it up to 12 people, we rarely ever are full. So, but to answer your question, 12 beds is the capacity in our location. And going back to the issue of security, we do have over 32 cameras on site, inside and out. We do monitor our clients 24/7. And again, as I previously said, we were on the same location there, a few feet away from the same building for 15 years. And at that time, we also had a school next door. We never had any incidents. And so, again, I just want to thank you for your time and look forward to serving our community.
Great. I just wanted to make sure we're looking at the same.
I would just add to the issue of security, in addition to the interior cameras that Rafi mentioned, we have a number of exterior cameras on campus as well, that we have all sides of that building covered with cameras that allow us to be able to monitor the traffic.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have heard testimony from Pastor Foster from Pastor McClellan from Bay Presbyterian, from Siobhan, and from Ralphie, both from the UMADOP organization. And we have heard from city planning that both the city planner for this area and the councilwoman for this area are in support of this project. The fact that there has been an existing treatment center almost adjacent to this particular building sort of quells the fears, I would think, of those that are in objection. There's a long history of this organization working successfully in the neighborhood, and it appears to be sort of a multi-tiered program with the transitional housing adjacent to it, and also the church offering support to those occupants. We have testimony from ODOP that they have approval for up to 16 residents, but have 12 actual beds, and they are not always at capacity with those 12 beds. They are operating 24/7 with staffing round the clock, have parking adjacent, and interior and exterior security cameras. So with all that being said, Madam Chair, I move that we go ahead and approve calendar number 22-202.
It's 203, I believe. And oh no, it's 202. I'm sorry. I was looking
All
at the
right.
wrong number. All right, thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Board Member Holzer, I second.
Ms. Holzer with the second. Go ahead, call the roll.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Babe,
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
Calendar number 22-202 is granted. It'll be ratified next Monday, and then we will send the appellants a letter.
All right, thank you. Good luck with
Thank you.
everything.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, next case.
Our next case, and I think it's our last case for the day, is
You are
calendar
correct.
number 22-203. This is at 16623 West Park Road. Carmel Conlon proposes to erect a one-story rear addition attached to an existing single-family residence in A1 one-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Thank you. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do, state your name and your address, please.
Carmel Conlon, 16623 West Park Road, Cleveland, Ohio, 44111, and I do.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I'm
Anyone
just gonna-
else?
I'm going to add.
This is my,
I'm here with Carmel. I am an architectural designer. I did the drawings for Carmel, and I'm just here as well.
give your name
Your name and address.
Weisenthal,
and your address.
10106 Baltic Road, Cleveland, Ohio.
And I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, ma'am. What was it?
Rebecca Weisenthal.
Thank you.
Say I do.
Okay, thank you. Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. And our Records Administration Office, we found that in 1922, a permit was issued to erect a building on this address. There are no variances on file and nothing of note in the more recent history. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead with the legal standard, please.
All right. Madam Chair, members of the board, the appellant is requesting an area variance from the interior side yard regulations of the zoning code. To obtain this area variance, the appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance would not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Conlon, tell us what you like to do.
Well, I'm going to let my architect.
Hi.
Okay.
What we're proposing is the construction of a 43 square foot addition in the southeast corner of the house. We're proposing that it line up with the east side of the existing house. And you can see in the photographs that there's an existing bump out that protrudes an additional 18 inches towards the property line. We're not going out to the bump out, we're going to the main house. And there's also a picture of the site plan that you could put up on the screen that shows the setbacks.
There it is.
There's a little site plan detail that gives you a bigger picture, and you can see the setback of our proposed addition matches the setback of the existing house.
So we're bringing the dining room in flush with the existing kitchen that's already on the south side of the building.
Okay, and for our court reporter, just announce who you are before you speak so she'll know.
Thank you. I'm Carmel Conlon, the homeowner.
Thank you. Okay. And so you're saying you're extending your living room to make it larger?
It's my dining room, actually. And it's going to bring flush in what is the existing kitchen is already there. And it's a one-story addition.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Xavier?
Thanks, Madam Chair. This is Xavier Bay, City Planning. And so this is kind of similar to the previous one that we saw, just kind of, you know, it's not encroaching the side yard. These are all also, these houses were built on those 3-foot side yard subdivisions. And so, yep, City Planning recommends approval.
All right, thank you. Board, any questions?
Madam Chair, to Ms. Weisenthal, so the addition, what you're looking to do is in the upper left, just that area that's in the hash lines,
Correct.
to move that out, right?
Yeah, that is the area of the addition. And we're
Right.
rebuilding an existing deck. We're repairing a deck that you see there.
Okay. What's the actual square footage of that? I can't read the dimensions.
It's 43 square feet.
Okay,
The addition.
great. Thank you. Madam Chair, if there's no other questions, I'll move forward with a motion.
Hearing none, go ahead.
All right. With calendar number 22-203, we've heard testimony from the homeowner, her architectural designer, with clarification of the square footage, and looking at the plan drawings, we can see that it's a small area that really just will bring the side of the house flush with the existing footprint. City planning supports this. We know that the side yard setbacks are existing, given the area and the age of this subdivision. So I move that we go ahead and approve this variance.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Member Brown, I second.
Ms. Brown with the second. Go ahead, call the roll.
Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Faith,
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
Calendar number 22-203 is granted. It'll be ratified next week, and then we will send the appellant a letter.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
you. Good luck.
Enjoy.
All right, old business.
You have no old business today. I was ill last week and was not able to get any resolutions completed for you guys.
Yes, yes. All right.
You're feeling
We-
better.
I'm getting there. I was actually still not feeling my best this morning, so we're doing it remotely this morning.
Yeah, I figured that. All right. Well, everyone have a good week. And
All right, thank you.
everyone who's ill, feel better.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good
And
week.
Kelly, what are you
See you all
doing for your birthday?
next Monday.
Oh,
I think I'm just gonna do a spa day because things have been kind of hectic. So
That sounds like a good plan.
yeah.
It's always a nice thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Treat
Happy
yourself
birthday,
right.
Kelly.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy
All right.
birthday.
All right. Well, you enjoy spa
Bye-bye,
day.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.